Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a rather sad and somber edition of the Damn Music Show. I'm Micah. This is Darren. Literally, while you were walking out the door,
Yeah.
I looked at my phone and I messaged you, and you've told me more than one time that this person is your favorite guitarist, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So, super sad. I'll let you take it from here. Who did we hear about?
Yeah. So unfortunately, what is today's date? I just turned on my phone. October
It's
9th.
October 6th.
Today is October 6th, 2020, and Eddie Van Halen has passed away from cancer. Just 2 days ago, Mike and I were talking about building our system, and we said, hey, we need a remote way in case a star passes. And I used Paul McCartney and Eddie Van Halen. I said,
did.
not anybody, but I said, if it's somebody big like Paul McCartney or Eddie Van Halen, I want to get on air and talk about it. And I happened to just be here at the studio, left the studio. Mike had texted me 5 minutes later, and I turned around and said, we got to talk about this. So it's extremely rare for me to be upset about celebrities passing. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
We don't know them. We appreciate them for the art. Eddie's, the probably a person on one hand that you can count that I'm upset that it's passed. He was and will remain a childhood icon of mine. When I was 14, 15 years old, I would have pictures of Eddie on my wall. I had a few sports guys, a few of the 80s babes in bathing suits, like Heather Locklear and those people back then, and Eddie. And, one of the guys that we watch on YouTube is Rick Beato,
Yeah.
who is a music producer just as Micah is. And he has an episode a couple of months ago, and he said, where are all the great guitar
Gods.
rock stars?
Gods, I believe is the
Rock star
Yeah, he
gods.
is. He's one of the quintessential rock gods.
And he said he thinks the last one was Eddie Van Halen. And what I would tell you is this. I grew up in North Texas, and there was a baseball player named Pudge Rodriguez, a catcher. And he was so good that people would come just to watch this guy play, and particularly throw people out at second base. No one goes to baseball games to watch the catcher.
Yeah.
Eddie, in his heydays in the 80s and 90s, was so good, but people would come just to watch him play guitar. Whether you liked Van Halen or not,
For sure.
it didn't matter.
It just
They
blew
would,
your mind what he was doing. It
Yes.
was hard to comprehend.
yes, and he was such an innovator. Not only the way he played, people talk about the tapping technique, which you can watch on YouTube
Yeah.
and Google, but he created his own sound. His famous guitar was called a Frankenstat, which is one half Frankenstrat, one half Strat, one half Telecasters. That he literally took apart $100 guitars in the 70s and late and early 80s and built his own guitar. And even to the point, like I had some bandanas that were red and black because he always wore
Sure.
red and black, but I think he was never thought of in terms of his musicianship. And he and David Lee Roth wrote the songs in the beginning. Eddie wrote almost all the lyrics, all the music.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and it was 85% Eddie wrote everything in early Van Halen, and then when Sammy came along, they were more collaborative, where Eddie wrote the music, Sammy wrote a lot of the lyrics, which is why there was a big change in how that band sounded.
Yeah.
But Eddie was really great at riffs, really good at writing songs. He was
Composer, wonderful composition.
yes, and
Very
but
creative.
his could shift between speed and melody, or play them both, play melodically fast.
Effortlessly.
Yeah, and he made guitar fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it
agree.
made guitar fun.
For everybody too. Just even if you didn't play guitar, you had this profound respect for like, how is that possible? How is he even doing what he's doing?
If you watch one video, if you don't know who Eddie Van Halen is, that's cool. I would say watch this video. There's
Why don't we throw some links?
I
in the
will. I'll
description?
definitely put some links in it.
And
And
then
we're doing this on the moment. We haven't
This-
talked about
For real,
any
yeah,
of
you,
this
like,
yet.
ran back in, hard U-turn, came right back to the house. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, holy, Darren, Eddie's gone. I texted you right away.
So,
I didn't believe it.
Yeah, I'll put it in the link. But the video you should watch is the very first concert that Sammy was the lead singer for Van Halen, and Connecticut. It was a big thing on MTV. But they start off with Sammy's song, There's Only One Way to Rock. I want you to just watch the sheer joy on Eddie's face of playing that song.
Yeah.
And not only is he playing that song, He's playing some difficult riffs while he is sprinting
Right.
across the stage,
Oh, it's insane.
ripping it in perfect time.
It's insane.
It
It's
is
truly
it
insane.
is so difficult to do, but he had throat cancer. Eddie smoked a long time. He had throat cancer that he beat 15 years ago. I didn't know he was sick again, and I don't even know that we don't even know if that's how he died.
His son
But
posted
it's a
and said it was from complications from
oh
cancer.
okay.
At least that's how I have received it so far.
Yeah, so I've done all the talking. I'm curious, Micah, as a mid-30 something, a professional musician, a professional guitarist, a professional producer. Eddie was a tad before your time. That doesn't mean that you can't appreciate him. You love David Gilmour, and he was a tad before your time too.
Gilmour
But
was technically before Eddie.
right, he was.
So Eddie was never at the top of my 5 list, but he was always at the top 5 of respect.
Right.
So I deeply, deeply respect it, and his ingenuity, his creativity, and I like the statement. Like, the older I get, the more I realize, like, man, these celebrities and people have affected me.
Yeah.
And like, the only way that I can equate it, and like, you genuinely were teared up, and I can tell you're holding back emotion.
Right.
You don't want to be bawling on camera, but like,
Right.
I think that's one, real, and two, it's profoundly okay, because I can only equate it to like when B.B. King passed.
Right.
And how I felt. Like, it's devastating for
Right.
the whole culture and people. And I felt like real remorse and sorrow. And when Eddie's passing right now, I feel the same thing, because I feel close to him, but I also feel for somebody like you
Sure.
who is deeply impacted by Eddie, and rightfully so. I think
Right.
Eddie impacted all of us, and his ability to traverse really, everybody that plays fast today,
Right.
it just came from Eddie. I mean, it came from those 5 years.
He
back
made
then.
it,
So it's really, he's a powerful player, powerful person.
Yeah, well, the reason it's upsetting is because that band brought me happiness, and
Right.
and in my particularly my teenage years, which is a tough time to be alive. I even owned a Van Halen gold necklace that had the Van Halen. I would walk around when I was 15 and 16 years old with OP shirts with a Van Halen necklace, for God's sakes, that I ordered, and it came in the mail 3 months later. Can you imagine?
Something that I like. One of the most beautiful things in life for me is the ability of us to affect each other.
Yeah.
The reason I'm an artist is the reason I play music, and Eddie affected a ton of people, and justifiably so. There are times when we get offended by the way a celebrity affects people, because it doesn't shape our beliefs or
Right.
how we believe they should be affecting people. That removed should not really be part of that. Artists affect people and instill change. Eddie's one of those people. I love
Yeah,
it. I'm
well,
very sad to see him go.
I think Eddie's impact in the music world will always be innovation.
Oh,
Eddie's impact on popular culture is that band, I think, was the first band that was hard rock or heavy metal, unless you consider Zeppelin that category, which I do not.
I'd say they're rock.
Yes, but Van Halen was the first heavy metal band that broke outside of that small
metal
heavy
to
metal
pop,
listeners.
right,
It
for
became commercialized to where soccer moms and non-heavy metal hardcore people listened to
And
that.
it didn't. That wouldn't happen without Eddie.
Right.
Because Eddie was a showman.
Yes.
He was an entertainer.
Right.
And he was a great guitarist. And those three.
And he
things
could play.
rarely
He
come
he could
together.
play melodically too.
Oh,
He
man,
could play those.
unbelievable. And he could play the hooks.
Right.
And make you stay and make you do it well.
There were fast guitar players before Eddie.
For sure.
There were people that tapped on before Eddie.
For sure.
He brought it together in a melodic way, made it. He straddled the mid position of satisfying the hard rock heavy metal crowd, while reaching out to pop. Part of the big riff between Van Halen and David Lee Roth was the song "Jump" with the keyboards that Eddie played, and David Lee Roth did not want to do that, and Eddie commercialized a little bit in a good way,
Right.
and so that's I hope people remember him for being the innovator and not afraid to be something other than a speed demon.
Well, we will.
Yes.
And also, I think there's one thing of being able to do something and then being able to do something and take it mainstream. So yeah, while maybe not the first in a category, I mean, he was one of the first people to be tapping. Yes, that goes all the way back to like the 20s,
Right.
but not
Well,
like Eddie did it. Not
was-
the way he did it. He
Right.
took it and he made it his own. And I'm telling you, those 5% variations,
Right.
those little tweaks that were all like, oh, it's just that thing.
Right.
Dude, that thing, go find that. You haven't yet because you're not Eddie Van Halen.
Well,
and like
I talked-
finding that 5% adjustment that makes you like shifts it from good to great.
Yeah.
That is not, it's very rare, and Eddie did that. He took a technique that had been being done for a long time,
Yeah.
and he made it Eddie's style. Like,
Yeah.
He took it from good to great. He took a cool idea and a concept from good to great.
Just one thing and then multiply it times 20. But most guitarists play, guitar or a pick like this. He would play like this
In the middle, yeah.
right here, so he could tap.
You could tap on the top.
He could strum, pick, and tap.
That's what I mean.
Amazing.
This
That's just one
what I
of
mean.
many things.
That's what I mean. Like that concept. Now that we see it, we go like, oh, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. You didn't it didn't exist before that happened.
Right.
That's what we don't understand. That's where we don't give credit, and where Eddie deserves it on those little things. Those
Yeah.
are the big things that change our life. It's not the complicated stuff. It's doing something slightly different that changes the course of something for multiple generations.
Yeah.
That shifting it over, being able to play here and put tap cards, massive.
I would say, now it's this is sort of my last thought, but because I don't know, I could talk about this for 5 hours, but my last thought is this: now that we're in the virus world, you can't go see live music. It's starting to open up a little bit.
It hurts even more.
But if you have an artist, whether it's a musician or a singer or a troupe, somebody that paints or whatever, go see them, because you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And go see. You don't have to see every band. I know it's expensive. I can't afford to go see every band I like too. But the people that you really their art impacts on you, go see them when you have the chance,
and it's
man.
not like a movie where the same film rolls the same way. I have a huge respect for movies, but like you can't see the same show twice. Period.
Right.
The people get out there and they do it real time, and it doesn't
And
get
it's-
rerun unless you recorded it. And even then, it's not the same. So I agree.
And here's what even sucks even more is like the Eagles a couple of years ago, Glenn Frey passed away, who was he's the part of the two-headed snake that makes that
One
band.
of the quintessential songwriters of the Eagles of all time.
Yes, but
One of the original songwriters.
Vince Gill stepped into that role, and Glenn Frey's son stepped in a role. They trade off, and the Eagles still tour.
That's awesome.
There's no one going to step in to Eddie's role. Who is going to go see Van Halen with a different guitarist?
I'm gonna go with
That
and
band is
say,
over.
Agree.
Yeah,
It'd
and
be like going to see B.B. King. If
Right.
Somebody's playing B.B. King.
right.
Not
And-
happening.
And
You're right.
Van
You're right.
Halen successfully, they've had 3 different singers,
You're right.
and they succeeded that. They've had different
Yeah.
bass players.
Somebody
but-
I'm really happy I snuck into was Paul Simon recently. We saw Bonnie
Snuck into,
Raitt.
you didn't pay.
No,
No, I know what you mean.
We saw Bonnie Raitt recently. I was trying to see James Taylor.
Yeah.
I agree. Go check it out.
So I went and saw Elton John one time just so I could say I saw Elton John. Yeah. And
Well, certainly sad news.
Yeah.
Thank you guys all for following along. If you can, smash the subscribe below. We'll keep you updated on all the music news and our real-time emotions as we go through them. which
yeah,
we
and if you guys have
obviously
any Van Halen or Eddie Van Halen stories, I'd love to read them.
put it in the comments. We'll maybe even put you on and talk about it. So thank you guys so much. Smash that subscribe, and we'll be on next time.
Thanks, everyone.